Since the start of the new year, Collin Sexton has been putting up some pretty impressive individual numbers, while also doing it at a pretty efficient rate. Now, the foundation for Sexton's game has always been his ability to attack the basket. Collin on paper may not be the biggest guard, standing at just 6'3", but physically Collin does have really good length, strength, and explosiveness. Those physical tools allow Sexton to be an absolute menace in transition.
Here's Sexton driving, got the rim and in.
When Collin's able to pick up a head of steam with the ball, he's able to commonly overwhelm backpedaling defenders with his athleticism. You'll see him here catch this kick-ahead pass, and watch how Collin is going to drive right into Austin Reeves' body, and he bounces him back like he's a JV player, and sets up this uncontested layup. When handling the ball on the break, Sexton also plays with pretty good pace. You'll see him on this play initially pushing the ball, but notice how the Warriors have 4 players back. So in response, watch how Collin is going to lift up and rotate his body, selling as if he's about to pull the ball out. But notice how he's able to get both Curry and Looney to turn their heads and drift back up, which now allows Sexton to re-attack against Wiggins one-on-one. This is also a nice move here, where Sexton is going to hesitate by skipping off his left foot to then replant it and push himself downhill.
Only 46% is Sexton.
The Jazz also like to run some of these quick hitter actions in early offense. Watch John Collins here simply pitch the ball back up to Sexton, and from this spot, Collin is just going to catch and explode into this drive towards the middle. Now, when attacking in the half court, Sexton still primarily leans on his physical tools to attack the basket. Right here, you'll see Collin do nothing super advanced off the dribble. He's just going to cross the ball to his right hand and explode outside of the defense's frame, to then extend the ball up into this finish. When playing the point, the Jazz love to have Collin work off these open ball screens at the top of the key, where he's able to use all this space as a runway to build up momentum and shoot into these drives. You'll see Sexton here come off the screen towards his left, and from this spot, Josh Giddey has no chance of stopping the ball from a standstill, and Collin from here can simply bump through this contact and extend into this layup. Now off the bounce, I wouldn't say Collin has a super shifty handle. He will occasionally drop down into some combos if he's going up against a mismatch. But for the most part, Sexton is primarily using his handle to either build up momentum or set up attacking angles. Like on this play, you'll see him isolating against Steph Curry. And watch how Collin is going to take this dribble and glide out to his left, which both gets him slightly outside of Curry's frame and gives him the momentum to drop down into this drive. This is also a good efficient move right here, where Sexton is going to drop down into this in and out, and notice how he transfers all his weight to his right foot, to then explode to the rim with his next dribble. Now when scoring in the deep paint, Collin is obviously a pretty dynamic finisher, and everything again comes back to his length and explosiveness. When Collin is able to pick up a head of steam towards the rim, he's got pretty ridiculous body control and coordination in the air. Watch Collin here catch and rip past his closeout, and notice how he takes this wide banana route out to his left, which gives him a little more space to pick up some momentum towards the rim. Then watch how Collin is going to jump off 2 feet and lift the ball up. And when this defender rises up vertical to meet him, watch how Collin is going to bring the ball around and create a finishing angle. And on top of all that athleticism, Sexton also has pretty good touch around the basket, being able to rise up into these soft floaters, as well as some tough high arcing scoop layups. You'll see Sexton here initially beat the first line of defense, but notice how Chet Holmgren is sliding over to take away the rim. So in response, Collin is going to jump early off his ball side foot and get this layup over Holmgren's reach. You can really see how effective Collin's physical tools are on this play, where he's gonna again attack right off the catch, and notice how he has Anthony Davis sitting in the paint waiting for him. But in response, watch Sexton come to this 2-foot stop and elevate over AD's reach for this floater. So Sexton definitely has a multitude of different ways to put pressure on the rim. His physical tools allow him to break down the defense in the half court, as well as in transition. Plus, he also has enough skills with the ball to create attacking angles from a standstill. And this now leads to what I think is the best statistical part of Collins' game, which is gonna be his ability to generate free throws. Per 36 minutes, Collin is generating 7 free throws, which is the 12th most across the league. And along with that high volume, Sexton is also shooting a pretty accurate 87%. As a driver, Sexton is always thinking score first. He very rarely flops or looks to sell calls. When Sexton's attacking, he's simply looking to fight through contact to get to finishes, which leads to him drawing a ton of fouls. Now, an area of improvement I do see for Sexton is going to be his ball handling in traffic. When playing in crowds, Collin has a bad habit of exposing the ball around his waist, which gives the defense openings to make plays on the ball. You'll see him here going at Damian Lillard in transition, and as Sexton explodes to his right, notice how he initially gets past Dame, but again watch Sexton leave the ball exposed right in front of his midsection, giving the defense a window to swipe the ball free. Now compare those clips to these with Donovan Mitchell. Notice how he always extends the ball out and away from his body while he's stepping into finishes, which simply allows him to protect the ball in traffic. And Mitchell also likes to use this when he's going up against length. Watch him here veer into the shot blocker's body to then bring the ball up and muscle his way into a finish. But besides that, Collin pretty much checks all the boxes as a slasher, and that downhill scoring threat in return gives Sexton plenty of opportunities to playmake. Now, in traffic, Sexton is a pretty crafty passer, being able to both find and create these small creases to deliver passes through. You'll see him here attacking with a strong right hand, and off a live dribble, watch him dot this pass down to Collins on the baseline. This time here is pretty wild, where Sexton comes to a 2-foot stop, and he rises up as if he's elevating for a pull-up. But then he's going to sneak the ball through these two defenders to create a layup. And because Sexton has a pretty good floater game, he's able to pull backline defenders out of the deep paint, which opens up these backside lobs. You'll see Collin here stop short about 10 feet. And watch how he pulls this defender up into a contest, which leaves no resistance at the rim. Now, as an overall facilitator, I wouldn't say Sexton is the most advanced passer. He primarily thrives in tight quarters, and delivering these passes that open up right in front of him. But Sexton right now isn't great at mapping the whole floor. He doesn't really have the feel to manipulate off-ball defenders, or create plays on the weak side of the floor. But that may very well change over the next few years, because Collin this season has made some big improvements as a shooter. And if Sexton can consistently be an outside threat and command the defense's respect, that will open up his downhill scoring and passing even more. Now, Sexton over the past 2 months has been shooting lights out from 3, and Collin can generate these looks in a variety of ways.
Sexton back.
Now, most of Collin's outside looks come off the catch. The Jazz overall run a pretty free-flowing offense, with lots of pace, space, and movement. And through the course of games, many of these spot-up threes just naturally find Sexton. But what I've been finding extremely impressive over this recent span of games is Sexton's 3-point shooting off the dribble. Off the bounce, Collin looks really comfortable rising up, going both right and left. And that by itself allows him to easily generate these pull-up threes out of pick and roll, where if defenses sag off him and overplay his drive, Collin can just simply take a dribble into open space and rise up for a rhythm jumper. And Sexton can also generate these pull-up threes in isolation. This move and shot right here is tough, where Sexton's going to get to the shot fake and right hand drive, but watch him bring his back foot all the way across, to then separate off it by going between. Then he's gonna settle his feet behind the line, and rise up for a stable jumper. So with each passing year, I think Collin Sexton has been slowly adding more and more to his game. He's already an elite slasher and finisher in the deep paint. Plus, his 3-point shooting continues to improve year after year. I think if Sexton can establish himself as a consistent outside scoring threat, that will open up his downhill scoring and passing game even more. And at just 25 years old, it's safe to say that Collin Sexton's best days of basketball are still in front of him. If you want to support this channel directly, feel free to check out my Patreon for exclusive breakdowns. But regardless, I still appreciate you stopping by, and I'll see you on the next one. The Kid's here.